then there's old people. I'm not old.
Born out there, they were raised out there, they're gonna stay there.
Hell or high water, yeah, unless my kids drag me out of here.
Yeah, and this is very true. And sometimes the kids don't even have
Congratulations, that's nice.
that.
We're all in order to pull them out, yeah.
It's for all the crazy.
Yeah, I have heard it, and that helps.
It's called volunteering.
Wow,
Claire?
that's nice. I've got a magnet bracelet, it's an ankle bracelet. I should
But
do
that's the
that.
way it is.
Try it.
I will, I'll try that.
Shipped it when it drives it.
Yeah, certificate or what?
Okay.
I was at Wright Patterson Air Force Base. And they,
It's just like we have a pancake thing tomorrow.
and they had the annual
Well,
everybody.
anything I can do.
All right, are we ready, Carrie, or do you need a couple more minutes?
No, if you want to go right ahead, that's fine.
Well, the other thing I was thinking too is that we had a lot of presentations yesterday.
You got that other one sitting on
No,
the,
this,
On the desktop?
If we could access the
Well, actually,
presentations, that's something we can take, and here's copies to pass out, talks about information
Good
proceedings.
morning.
Good
I think we're in our places. I think that we're all here. So I call this meeting to order. We have a quorum, I believe, this morning. So welcome to all of you. I am Jo Ruth, chairperson of the Regional Advisory Council, the area agency, the Pikes Peak Region Council of Governments, Area Agency on Aging. There, I did okay. Let's go around the room and introduce ourselves. So, Joe, why don't you go this time? And
Sure. Joe Urban, Director of the Pikes Peak Area Council of Governments, Area Agency on Aging.
Margaret Hunter, the Myron Stratton Home.
Oh, is that?
Oh, you're done. Oh, okay. Wow. Thought she was just adjusting the mic.
No, she's not a marketer, Wendy.
Oh, that's right. No. So I'm Wendy Farr. I represent Colorado Springs, and then I also work for Rocky Mountain Healthcare Services in the PACE program.
Phyllis Huggins, Eastern El Paso County.
Carrie Schillinger, PPACG Area Agency on Aging.
Dave Betzler, Northern El Paso County, Monument, Tri-Lakes area.
Betsy Anderson, Teller County.
Aisha Young Fountain. Carol Parks, Teller County.
Marilyn Massey, Colorado Springs.
Dixie Herring, the Independence Center.
Jerry Novak, Colorado Springs.
And then let's go. and let's
Lisa
go-
Aldridge, PPACG Area Agency on Aging.
Thank you.
Kent Matthews, Pikes Peak Area Council of Governments Area Agency on Aging, the Family Caregiver Support Center.
Show off.
Michelle Jean Amblicat.
Bill Nels, Embacad.
Jules Norwood with Kent. Miranda Shaw with the UCCS Aging Center.
David Biner with Next Day Access.
Jody Richardson, Mountain Community Senior Services. Cindy Rush, also MCSS.
Claire Anderson with Innovations in Aging.
Ralph Power with Teller Senior Coalition.
And someone is just coming in.
Cheryl
Cheryl
Schnell
Schnell.
is coming in.
Hi, Cheryl.
Don't you love it when you get called out?
All right. Thank you all for being here, our guests, and some of you are presenters, and I appreciate you that you're all here. We have very quickly moved past our newest member. Carol Parks has just been appointed from Teller County, and we are delighted to see you.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Would you? I always ask each of our new members to at least introduce themselves, say a little bit about what you do in the county, and thank you specifically for coming and being a part of this group.
Thank you, Joe. I moved to Colorado Springs 35 years ago. Have been started in mortgages and have done mortgages in Colorado Springs and Woodland Park, Teller County, for about 33 years. And during that time, I met and married my husband, so I've been involved in doing mortgages and home ownership programs in the area forever. I've always been a volunteer, and I thought volunteering is very good for our community, so I've always tried to live what I believe. And I've been on the board of Prospect Home Care and Hospice, and I chair the board for them now. And I also, I try to stay involved as much as I possibly can. I don't know what else to tell you. I'm going to be married 30 years in June. Very happy about that.
Congratulations.
So I pretty much stick when I find something I like to do, and I'm so thrilled to be here.
You kept him.
Thank you very much for allowing me the chance to do this. It's exciting for me. Thank you.
She said she's been watching us on the TV, so I think that's a record of
You
interest.
told me to get a life. I thought that was classic. I'm not going to tell people that anymore. I'm just going to watch.
No, welcome, and we
Thank-
we really are privileged to have you join our board when you have been in the Springs so long, and have really taken an interest in the lovely stuff that we do here, and we got lots more lovely stuff to do in our community. So thank you.
Thank you.
Have you had a chance to review?
I move
We
approval.
have agenda approval.
I move approval.
Move approval of the agenda.
I haven't done, oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were approving the minutes. My apologies. I'm sorry, Joe. There's a reason I thought you were approving the minutes and it skipped over public comment.
See, she's got an agenda
I'm
too.
being difficult.
She's got an agenda.
You'll see.
What do you need to?
Would you
No, we've
all
got it all planned out.
would you all look at the agenda, and would you approve it if you?
I will second it. I think it's already been.
Next time, just take this and whack me on my head.
Oh no, no lumps on the head. Is there any other nurse or doctor in the room? All right, I answered my own question. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor of the agenda is printed?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Now, public comments, may I ask for?
I don't have any remarkable.
And we have some in the audience.
I have a young man in the audience who has some public comments to make.
Thank you.
Is that you?
You really
Hi,
set
Ken.
yourself up for that.
Hi!
May I introduce Kit Matthews?
Thank you. That was very good. Yeah.
Good work.
All right.
It's classic.
Yeah, and Carrie did have an agenda, and it's about what I'm going to be saying. Joe Ruth, last night, the Senior Resource Council had the annual recognition awards for the Joe Hensham Awards, and we had there were 6 nominees. There's 3 awards. One is for volunteer, the other one is for business or nonprofit agency in the community, and the other is for a business professional. All of them, and the awards are to go to somebody deserving who is supporting and encouraging and acknowledging the growth of services for seniors and all of those resources in the community. And we had nominated Joe Ruth for the category of volunteer for the Joe Hensham Award. And last night, all 6 nominees received the plaque, which is very, very nice. But Joe Ruth, in addition to what all the other 6 nominees received this award, she was nominated and she was awarded the volunteer for the Joe Hensham Award for volunteers for works provided to seniors in the community. So thank you very much.
Is that all I can
Yep.
say something?
Go ahead and say something. I'm done.
Thank you, Ken, because for your acknowledgement and for your effort in writing one of these things, you should have gotten the award because it's awful to try and write these awards up. You know, the nominations, they are very time-consuming. And I just, well, they are. I mean, it spent me 40 years trying to make it, so just writing it up is a problem.
Well, and to be really honest, it was a committee effort, a committee of two, because I wrote it and then I passed on the application for the award to Carrie, and Carrie would edit and she'd send it back, and I would edit and send it back to her, and so it went through probably, it was a ping pong ball. It went through probably 4 or 5 different drafts before I sent it in. So it was a joint effort. But thank you, because you help me in my program a lot with your calls, and you have done a lot for this agency, and I know you have done a lot in the community as well. So
Thank you. Thank you.
you're welcome. Thank you.
This award is meaningful for me in a very long-term way. When I started doing gerontology, I was not in the gerontology age. And but I was very committed to doing gerontology and being with people who are aging, each of us individually every day. We work one more day to get to this point. And I met with a new group that was called the Resource Council in Colorado Springs, and Joe Hengeman was one of the guiding lights and stars and founders of that group. And as I watched him, he was then retired and working on his second job. Having retired once, he was working for the second and the third retirement. And I admired his efforts and his ability to work with a community, his caring, his thoughts, his thoughtfulness, but also his organization. So for me, this man was the epitome of what Colorado Springs aging community could look like, and he did everything he could to make that possible. So to receive this volunteer award with his name on it is particularly meaningful to me. So I just want to say thank you to all of you, and because each of you carry on his mission and his joy of life. That's what I remember, his enormous smile and gift and caring. So thank you all for being a part of that. We had some other,
Yeah, you want to go ahead? Or
Okay.
you want to do that?
Go ahead.
I wanted to also recognize two other prominent individuals in this room. Silver Key was nominated for the professional organization, much deserved, and Pat, congratulations on that. And then a gentleman that Wendy Farr is somewhat associated with
Somewhat associated with.
received the Professional Legacy Award. Joe Farr received the Professional Legacy Award, which is a tremendous honor as well. So congratulations.
So we have been very well, we were very, very well represented in that room last night, and it was an honor to be with many of our providers were in the room, and so it was kind of like home week there, and I really enjoyed that. So thank you for participating and for being there, Joe. Are there any other public comments?
I'd just like to make a quick comment. I passed out some copies of the Colorado Senior Lobby is having an online survey for seniors to register their thoughts and ideas about government and the state's aging population. It's the first time the Colorado Senior Lobby has done that. So I passed out copies. I've got some extra ones here if others would like that. They're encouraging everyone to do that. The other thing I'd throw out is that I went to the Colorado Senior Lobby, or they sponsored Senior Day at the Capitol. Joe was there, Wendy was there, and others. I found it as very informative, energizing, fascinating, really a remarkable gathering. So in the future, I'll be happy to talk to people about that, but I'd really encourage others to go. It's really a worthwhile effort. You really get immersed in the issues and some of the personalities and some of the agendas that are before the legislative body. We had the governor and the attorney general both speak at the group as well. Very, very well done group.
Although, I will say, I've been there several times before, and it's probably been at least 3 or 4 years since I've been back. I didn't realize that they also had vendor tables set up in the corridor there, so there was a lot of business professionals. I didn't know there was an opportunity for vendors to be there. I think I may have been up there for a different reason if I'd have known that. But I have to say, I was really surprised of all of the comments and the people who spoke, and there's not a lot of representation from anywhere other than in the Denver metro area. There was some in Boulder, but that's not on them. That's on us. We're not getting involved, and I really felt like there was a short supply of those of us from Southern Colorado, and I thought that's something that I had to think about. Like, we and myself, we need to step up a little bit more. So that's a thought I got out of it.
I agree. I echo that, too.
Yes. Having attended several years, there is a dearth of the population from out in the state.
They did a great job. I'm not saying they didn't. They did a great job, but I definitely noticed that the faces, the names, the organizations, none of them were from El Paso County. So that's kind of on us. So.
Thank you both.
Hand over here.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I just wanted to announce that we're having another caregiver workshop on April 8th from 1 to 4. You guys should have seen it in your email about a month ago. We sent out, the flyer, and Lisa sent it out. If you know of anybody who's interested in attending, it's free. We're giving you food, a goodie bag, and some really excellent speakers. People have really gotten a lot out of it in the past, and if you're interested, give me a call, and I would love to get you signed up.
Thank you. Thank you. Those are extraordinarily worthwhile events, and we as a community appreciate what you're doing. Thank you. Seeing no others, the next on the agenda is approval of the minutes. Any comments, corrections? If not, is there a motion to approve?
Motion that we adopt them.
Second? It's moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. The minutes are approved. We have a special presentation today, Innovations on Aging Collaborative. Claire is here, and boy, are you guys busy.
It's a great thing, though.
Welcome.
Thank you.
I'm going to stand right here for a minute, make sure it's going to.
Okay.
I've already had your hair booted once.
I know. Early.
Like, you know that trick I told you about the being the lot dummy? I just did the being, nothing's happening, which means it's going to happen in about 30 seconds. You're not expecting it.
Okay. One more. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for having me back again. Really appreciate it. I was here in January, I think, to talk about Senior Reach, and I really appreciate the invitation to come back and talk about a couple of things. First of all, I want to talk about the Strategic Action Planning Group on Aging, as well as the Age-Friendly Colorado Springs Initiative. Is there an extra copy of that? This one? I'm like, I better figure out what I'm talking about. Better save one for myself here.
It's nice to have a piece of paper.
It is, right? Thank you. I feel really, really fortunate and really blessed to have been appointed to the Governor's Strategic Action Planning Group on Aging. And we've been meeting since last year, since August of last year. Maybe not.
No, I think it's a graphic in this particular
Oh, that's
PowerPoint
holding it up. Oh,
all right.
well, maybe. Maybe it'll go.
Have both.
Let's try it. Okay, we'll keep our fingers crossed. Perfect. So there's a little two-pager handout about the SAPCA group that I passed out to you all. Our group is made up of about 23 voting members that Governor Hickenlooper appointed from across the states. For a while, I was the only representative from Southern Colorado, and then Greg Koopman was appointed to the commission as well. just a couple months ago. So we're excited to have him on as well. So when we talk about this, and the reason why this group was created, this planning group, we know this information, right? We've seen this so many times. I know that Innovations has come to speak to you all about the demographic shift and what we will see in not only the Pikes Peak region, but across the state of Colorado in the coming years. This graphic, I think, is really important. That last number there at the end is 2050. And we see the number climb to about, what is that, 180,000? Yeah, by about 2050 of Coloradans age 65 and plus. And we know that in the Pikes Peak region specifically, the number of residents 65 and over is projected to grow 170% by the year 2040. So it's time for us to plan for this monumental shift now so that we're prepared when this does happen. 1.8 million, thank you. I was going to say, I thought that didn't look right with 180,000. Let's see if this will go to the next one.
Oh, no. It went back to the beginning.
It went back.
There we go.
There we go, perfect. This was interesting, I thought. I know that we talk about that 10,000 people turn 65 every day across the United States, but I thought this statistic was really interesting. One person will turn 65 every 8 seconds for the next 15 years across the country. So this obviously presents a huge challenge for our state, but also tremendous opportunities for us. And so that's why this House Bill 15-1033 was passed, which created the SAPGA, the Strategic Action Planning Group on Aging. There we go. So the charge of our group is to study the demographic change, to propose common sense and comprehensive ways our state can prepare itself and serve as a model for other states in planning for aging. And so far, over the last couple of months, we have worked on research, worked on subcommittee group planning, and the kind of funny thing that I think you guys will find funny is that I'm the sort of token millennial on the planning committee. And so for a while, for the last couple of months, they've said, oh, the millennial will do it. Have the millennial do it. But it actually was really lovely and a really great experience for me because I got the task of putting together the mission and vision for the group and going through the bill, looking through the bill, and the bill suggests some areas that we should study but doesn't mandate any areas that we should study. So I picked out the suggested areas from the bill, and we were able to break those areas down into subcommittees, and then the 23 members of the committee joined each of those subcommittees, and we've been doing subcommittee work now for the last couple of months. I'm serving on the supportive community subcommittee. Greg Koopman is on that subcommittee as well. And we've talked about this. The only danger is not preparing for the demographic shift. Here we go. So here's the focus. These are the areas that were picked out of the bill that we're focusing on and that the subcommittee are doing work on: workforce development, family economic security, physical community, health and wellness, public finance, supportive community, and communications and outreach. And our task is to create a strategic plan, send these recommendations to the governor by November 1st of 2016, and to update that plan again in 2018 and 2020. So, you know what, I skipped past that slide, but they're giving the same presentation to Club 20 on the Western Slope this weekend as well. So that should be interesting. When we go around and talk to different groups, these are the questions, and they're also on your sheet that I handed out to you. These are the questions that we've been asking folks and looking for some feedback from you all about our process and about our planning and what we should be sort of doing as we move forward throughout this year. And these are the three questions. On your sheet, there's an email address that you could email these questions to. You could also send them to me if you'd like, and I'd be happy to pass them on. But these are the things we're chatting about. If successful, in your perspective, what programs and strategies regarding aging would be in place 10 years from now? How could the state help your community prepare for this demographic shift? And what recommendations or thoughts do you have for the planning group as it's developing its framework? So anything that you all think about, please pass that information on to me. The website is also on the back page of this sheet. All the meeting materials, research materials, and different information from the group is available on the website. So if you have some extra time, it's really interesting to kind of look through that site and kind of read through the materials that are there. And they'll give you some more information about the group and what we're doing as we move forward. So that's a very quick overview, but wanted to get that information to you, and please share your feedback and information with us, and we're happy to pass it on to the larger group. All right, let's see if I can get to the other one.
It's minimized at the bottom of the screen, so minimize that one and you should find it down there, or at least it was minimized.
Perfect.
Or you could just try opening it again from right there.
Right there. I heard, how often do we meet? We were meeting every week for the first couple months from August for maybe 3 months. Then we decided to meet by every other week so that the subcommittee groups had some more time to do their work. From now, for the next couple months, probably through June, we're just going to be meeting once a month as a larger group so that the subcommittees can do their work. The plan is that by June or July, the subcommittees have done their research, done their work, and we can bring it back to the larger group and start going over the different objectives and goals that are outlined by those smaller groups and start putting that together into a larger plan.
I might throw my 2 cents worth in here
Yeah.
as well. I don't know if anybody has wrapped their brain around the enormity of this project yet, and I hope Claire doesn't have any vacations planned until November. They're talking about planning the future of seniors in the state of Colorado for the next 30 to 40 years and doing it in 18 months. So try to envision that.
My head hurts.
Yeah. I agree, just thinking about it.
I'm not in that long. I just might not be in Colorado.
I'll email you that.
There you go. Perfect. Perfect. I think it's a really important project, and I'm really glad that we now have 2 representatives from Southern Colorado, but I'm glad that we can bring our voice to the group. Sometimes I think that things that happen in Denver are often Denver-centric, but I think this group is really, really doing a great job at making sure that they look at all areas of the state. And we've passed on, the report that Innovations in Aging did, Aging in the Pikes Peak region. We've passed that on to the group, and they've been using that document in addition to all the other great documents that we have, the framework for aging and all the different aging plans that we have. But they've done a really good job at making sure that the Pikes Peak region and kind of across the state that we're included and have a voice. So, great. Thank you. In the interest of time, I'll quickly go through age-friendly Colorado Springs as well, and so you all can get on to the rest of your meeting. I'm sure that some of you have heard about this initiative, and it's been a few years in the making now. But the Age-Friendly Community Initiative is a program of AARP and the World Health Organization. And Innovations in Aging for the past couple of years has been working on bringing the initiative to Colorado Springs. And just on March 8th, we officially became an age-friendly community. AARP came and presented the mayor and city council with the certificate, and we are officially enrolled in the network of age-friendly communities. But now the work begins, and I will tell you a little bit about the work. Jan Martin is our facilitator for this project. I'm sure you all know Jan, former city council president. And when she does this presentation, she's a boomer in the baby boomer generation, and she likes to talk a little bit about boomers, and because this is sort of the generation that we're focusing on when we talk about an age-friendly city. We're talking about folks who are retirement age and who are going to be growing older in the coming years. So she is much more eloquent than I am to talk about being a baby boomer coming from the millennial here. But I just want to quickly go through some of these slides because I know that these are really important to her, and she really enjoys talking about this topic. So baby boomers have changed culture throughout their lives, and aging will be no different. And I know for her, this project is to redefine what it means to retire and to grow older, and to create a new vision for aging in the Pikes Peak region and in Colorado Springs specifically. So she talks about these things. You know, the baby boomer generation was the first generation to have toys created specifically for them. So the hula hoop, the slinky, first generation to use credit cards, the first generation that brought the Beatles here, and baby boomers invented jogging. I guess was kind of the wants to bring jogging into the mainstream, and healthy food as well, and of course the peace love generation as well. These are some of the other things that define the baby boomer generation. The baby boomers created the suburbs and have put themselves in the suburbs. The baby boomers were the first ones to have the pill, to have the draft, and then the defining moment was when Kennedy was assassinated for that group, much like 9/11 was, I think, for the millennials. So this is the new vision of aging, demanding Starbucks coffee in nursing homes, being more healthy and productive than society expects, searching for bridge jobs. There was a great article in the Gazette yesterday about bridge jobs and Encore careers. Wanting to be involved in community service and different volunteer opportunities, aging in place, and the boomers have put themselves in the suburbs, but now want transportation options for living in those suburbs. We've talked about this, right? Millennials and baby boomers want the same things in their neighborhoods. They want to trade a shorter commute for a smaller home. They want a proximity of shops, restaurants, and offices near their home. A mix of home types and affordable housing in that neighborhood. Public transportation option in the neighborhood. And a mix of incomes rather than sort of a segregated by income neighborhood. So like I said, March 8th is when we officially enrolled in the Age Friendly Network. We mentioned this before, 10,000 people turn 65 every day in the U.S. We've talked about these statistics from that study from Dr. Tucker Hart-Adams. When we presented to City Council that day, this is the information that we shared with them. And it really is sort of sobering when you see that, the number of over 85 population quadruple by 2040. That's a pretty big number and something to start preparing for right now. So AARP lays out 8 domains of livability in this project. Transportation, housing, social participation, communication and information, respect and social inclusion, civic participation and employment, community support and health services, and outdoor spaces and buildings are the 8 domains. And we've begun to create subcommittees for each of these domains. And your own Carrie and Kent have graciously agreed to be chairs for some of these subcommittees, and we're really excited to have them on board with us. These committees have started meeting just over the last week or two, and will meet about 6 times in the next month and a half. We have a very quick timeline. I know that sometimes with some of these reports or some strategic planning processes, they can, take a really long time, and then perhaps that report sits on the shelf for a while and is never really sort of fully utilized or quickly utilized. So our hope is that with this quick timeline, that these action items will be doable, these goals will be doable, and things that we can accomplish within the next 3 years or so. So each committee will define 3 to 5 actionable goals and objectives for each domain. They want to focus on what would work in Colorado Springs and what's doable for our community. Again, we're talking about that sort of 3-year time frame. So goals that can be implemented and measured in 3 years. And we want to be creative. Colorado Springs always works a little differently, I think, don't we, from some other cities, and so maybe something that might work here might not work somewhere else, or vice versa. So something that's creative and sort of outside the box for Colorado Springs is what we're looking for. Here's that timeline that I talked about, very quick. The work of those committees will be done in March and April, with the idea that the first part of May will bring the groups back together and present those goals and outcomes to each other. And then Innovations in Aging will be responsible for the implementation and evaluation of those goals. And AARP outlines a 5-year evaluation for the plan. So in 2020, we'll be responsible to AARP for reevaluating the plan and updating that plan. Let's skip through this one. We talked about this, forming the committees this week, meetings this week, last week and this week. Next week, all the committee members will be meeting with Dr. Tucker Hart Adams on April 7th, and she's going to present her Aging in the Pikes Peak Region report to those committee members so they get a better idea of that demographic shift in the Pikes Peak region specifically and what we're expecting to happen in our area. And then for meetings 4, 5, and 6, that's when the committees will begin discussing options for Colorado Springs and finalizing those 3 to 5 measurable goals and objectives, and then reporting the recommendations back to each other in May. Innovations in Aging is taking on the role of implementation and evaluation. We'll compile the information for the strategic plan. We will send it to AARP for their approval. And then we will begin finding and working with partners to implement those goals and objectives. I think that if, Innovations in Aging is a catalytic organization, and we do like to incubate programs and then sort of pass them off to the proper community partner. So if some of those goals are something that Innovations in Aging could take on, we might do that. Otherwise, we'll search for the proper community partner for that goal to see that sort of realized for the next 5 years. I think oftentimes there'll be someone on the committee who might be very interested or attached to a goal, and they might like to take that implementation on and see that through as well. I think that maybe one of the outcomes of this might be to form a city commission on aging. We obviously have the state commission on aging that Joe is a member of, and but there are lots of cities that are our size that have a city commission on aging that's housed somewhere in the city government and can be an advocate for aging issues. Similar to what you all do, and but within the city. So in our discussions, that's sort of something that's at the back of our mind, thinking that might be something that might come out of this process. So like I said, Jan is the facilitator, and she is happy to answer any questions that you all might have. I'm happy to do the same thing. If one of those 8 domains of livability rings a bell to you, and you might want to join one of those subcommittees, that would be great. We'd be happy to have you. We're still early in the process, and we can get you onto one of those subcommittees, and it would be great to have your input and your expertise on those subcommittees. So please contact us if you'd like to get involved with that. Any questions about Age Friendly before I let you move on to your...
Do you know where the April 7th meeting is to be?
I do. It is at the Mesa Road. It's the Colorado Springs Utilities. It's the Mesa Road Conservation Center. It's that. It's the meeting room right there at the Xeriscape Gardens on Mesa and Fillmore.
It's the backside of Coronado High School.
Yes, exactly. They have a nice big meeting room. So please join us if you'd like to, April 7th, 3 o'clock at that location to hear more from Dr. Tucker Hart Adams.
I think doesn't Denver have an age-friendly designation as well, or some other suburb up there?
Yeah, they're a little bit
Are you
ahead of us.
borrowing from that, or looking at their materials as well to jumpstart here?
Yeah, you know what's interesting? Denver is age-friendly. Larimer County is age-friendly, and Fort Collins is sort of in the beginning stages of the process as well. Denver has sort of moved away from the age-friendly name and has been calling their process Age Matters. So they haven't really been following the same outline. And so we haven't used much of Denver's information. The great cities that we've been looking at their reports are Honolulu, Austin, Portland, and Washington, D.C. Cleveland is also another great one as well. So if you're interested, if you Google, the age-friendly Washington, D.C. or age-friendly Portland, you can age-friendly Honolulu. I think we should have a trip to age-friendly Honolulu. But that'd be great. Yes, perfect. But if you have a chance to sit down and Google some of those plans and read through them, they're really dynamite plans and just really do a great job. My favorite is Washington, D.C. Personally, I think they just do a wonderful job at being very specific and laying out their plan in a really user-friendly and understandable way. But we're definitely using the best practices from those other communities.
ARP is mentioned predominantly, and it's up there on the screen. I'm not a member of ARP, but I belong to AMAC. You familiar with AMAC? It seems like AMAC is growing in both stature and membership. Is there any collaboration with AMAC in any of these processes?
Not that I know of, and I've never seen anything, I think, that, where they've collaborated, but I just learned about AMAC actually a couple of days ago, and so I'll have to keep doing some more research about that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
AMAC is American Mature. It's an alternative to ARP.
Right.
Association of Mature
Yeah.
American
Something.
Citizens.
Right.
Our acronyms. Alive and well, aren't they?
I hear it advertised all the time now.
Claire, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
We appreciate being
I
an
just read a
integral
lot.
part of this. This is what we do, and I'm happy that we can do it as actively.
I agree.
Are involved now.
I agree, and it's great to have you guys involved, and I'm really happy to always be able to keep you updated on what's going on, and please let me know if you want to get involved any more with any of these projects.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Claire.
All right. We are now ready for item 6, the informational items. Our first provider presentation is AMDCAP.
Don't thank me until I'm successful. It's been twitchy today.
Yes. So good morning. My name is Gail Nels, and I'm the executive director with AMBLCAB, and up here with me is
Michelle Dean.
And so thank you for inviting us to present to you today about who AMBLCAB is, a little refresher. We had a PowerPoint.
For some reason, the keyboard doesn't
United
like it.
Nations, World Health Organization, and AARP are doing this. That's where it's being driven.
When I'm right here, it works just
Oh, that's kind of bizarre, yeah.
Yeah, so it's that, one
So as I
world,
understand it, the
this
group
wonderful-
is looking at funding for the next year as well as maybe some carryover. So here's just a refresher about who AMBLCAB is and what we're doing lately to give you an update. So is there a, I won't touch this one, right?
No, that's just the, so you should be able to toggle through with the, yeah, there we go. Just
Oh.
use the arrows and you'll be okay.
The right arrow?
Yeah, right, okay, right arrow to go to the next slide. Back is the left arrow.
Okay.
Okay. So back in 2015, it seems so long ago, AMBLCAB added to their mission statement in that we wanted to be very specific about naming the elderly and low-income citizens to work with not only transportation but home care services. And that's part of that in-home unskilled support that people need, because it's all really part of, we think our tagline is really independent living, and to keep people in their homes, because most people want to stay in their homes. They're healthier, they're happier, they're with family members, probably better care. And also, it's a cost savings to not only that family, but to maybe the state if they are on a Medicaid or other solution assistance. Just a quick update on some of our statistics from last year. What we're seeing is that we're about half, not quite half, like 45% of our ridership requires some kind of lift assistance when they are transported, whether they're going to, medical appointments or going shopping or they're going to work. What we've seen is this number has changed a little bit, because we used to say that there was many more wheelchair people. We're seeing, I think, a lot more mobility aids that our people are being freed from some of those wheelchairs, and so there's other kind of assistance devices. But they do still need the lift-assisted vehicles because they can't do stairs. And frankly, I remember my mother was one of those, could not do stairs at all. And I have a funny story, but I won't go into that now. But anyway, so that's what we've seen in 2015. This is interesting. I think we moved to open office, was it the 365? And this is supposed to be a chart of AAA rides. But I don't think there's a communication or something just didn't come through. We have a hard copy. And I'll let Michelle just talk from the slide that we have.
So I wanted to talk a little bit about our growth trends. That's actually what this slide showed. It showed that we've doubled our AAA trips from the 2014-2015 year to this current fiscal year. The other trend that I find interesting that I wanted to share with you all is that the increase in rides is actually it's rides. The same number of clients essentially are just requesting more rides. So that's what's driving our growth. I just wanted to share that. I think it's relevant. We are taking on an average of 3 new clients a month, but most of the growth is driven by the same people requesting just more and more rides.
I think it's kind of positive. People want to get out more. Yes. And they can, except for that. And what we had in this chart was we plotted the number of rides per month over the funding period that we've had. Yeah. And you can definitely see when the weather goes down, like February, we didn't have as many senior rides. It was such a crazy, especially that first week in February. We had a lot of cancellations. But anyway, so we're just, the intent of that slide was to show the growth that we're seeing, but then also to say, it's not a direct correlation with the number of increasing rides and increasing people served. It's just that those people want to be going out more places. They like our services, I think, how we've interpreted that data.
And I would also say we are on track to provide just over 1,900 rides this fiscal year. AAA rides, sorry.
So I think we were also looking at what it meant to, in honor of Claire and all her numbers and statistics, we also are looking at numbers and statistics about, who are we serving, and we're looking at the American Community Service population. And as we're speaking about the population over 60 working more, we're also looking at how do you get someone with, a chronic disease to work. And because people still want to work, there's a lot of validation in working, and we want to try to provide people to get to work if they can. So this is some of the data. What also shows, though, is people with disabilities are most often unemployed. So when they do have a job, it's important for them to get there, and they really want to work, is what we've seen. And so here's the over 65 population data that we've already seen before. But I think it's the importance of the poverty level. What we've seen is, and I don't know how many of you are aware, but, those minivans that have the ramps or the lift assisted, those things cost $50,000 to $60,000. And not everyone has that kind of disposable income to create their own mobility options. And so the reliance on what you provide to us to provide their access into the community is really important. So we just really want to say thank you for what you have provided, and we look forward to, continued funding till we can meet the needs of the people that we're currently serving, and hopefully more people joining this population. And here's some more data of who we are and what we're serving. And as you know, we complement, so not only are we funded by the AAA here, and thank you, but it's also by the City of Colorado Springs, along with Silver Key and Fountain Valley and community intersections. And we do not duplicate this service. We are complementary to this service. So we typically will go outside of their service area to places that they do not go, but also we go into the homes where they do not go. because of their, I think, contracts. They only go, to the curb or to the door, but we go through the door and offer that kind of assistance. And frankly, sometimes it's carrying the oxygen tank, sometimes it's making sure that we're locking the doors, things like that. So that's the kind of service that we are providing. And I think it is interesting to note the income levels. At the bottom right of that chart, you'll see that, under $11,000 per year, 35% of our clients are in that income bracket. So it's difficult for them to afford that $50,000 to $60,000 vehicle to get around. And recently, and I think now more than ever, there's a responsibility that as we accept public funds, how are we managing those funds and what is our responsibility? And so we just wanted to highlight that, we go through the audits here from the State Unit on Aging and the AAA here. We do a Public Utilities Commission audit. There's a financial audit done every year and contract compliance audit. And I was looking at Wendy, she's not in her seat right now, but, these audits are. Thanks, Wendy.
Mention me, I'll walk around in front of you now. But
I'm sorry to meet. But I. As a taxpayer myself, I want to make sure that these funds are being spent appropriately and transparently, and I just want to make that we think we are meeting all these, and these other people that are auditing us believe that we're doing all these kinds of things. And here are some of the people that we're serving and how we serve them. We are doing some, we are primarily a Monday through Friday service, but we are doing some special trips at the evenings. It's not on this slide, but we took some, well, she turned 60. We took her to her 60th birthday party, a visually impaired person salsa dancing one night. So that's kind of fun. Yeah, the music was a little loud for me, but but it was fun. And we're also working on developing Sunday services. Right now, we are in a kind of a pilot mode, taking someone with a very severe chronic illness to church. And I think as we age and as we are view ourselves as more vulnerable, the spirituality that we and the community and companionship we receive, spiritually is important. So we'd like to look at, offering more of those kinds of services. But that's what we do. And here's just kind of we did a bubble map of primarily where we go, and you can see it reflects very much what Metro Mobility pushes out in a map of what we provide. And I do want to point out there's that one little red bubble out in Callahan, and that's just, this is just an interesting story about how we all work together. And I got a call, and I love this. It was the Friday afternoon at 4 o'clock from El Paso County Health Department. Can you help? There is, and it's not aging, but it just talks a little bit about, there's a woman who is 8 months pregnant. She's having severe health issues. The baby needs to, as soon as it's born, will go to surgery. It has a congenital heart condition. So we got some funding from a Denver foundation that will help them into the hospital and transition, keep them up there for the next month before she delivers the baby and help them with that. We have transportation from when they get to Denver to the hospital, and we have Mustang tickets, but we cannot get them from Callahan to the Mustang station. Can you help? And oh, by the way, the appointment is Tuesday morning. It's Friday afternoon. The good news is we had a volunteer driver that was willing to wake up or be at our office at 4:30 in the morning to start up that minivan to go all the way out to Callahan to take she and her husband to the Mustang station. But anyway, it's just an interesting story about, and I'm sure Pat has similar stories in Fountain Valley, but just, that's what we do, and that's who the community we serve. And so it's not only the baby boomers in the suburbs or millennials. I don't know if an exurb of Colorado Springs. I don't know. But also the survey results. We do monitor what we're doing and how we're doing it. You can tell this slide didn't come across.
It didn't come through, right, yeah. The green is strongly agree, the yellow-orange is agree, and then the purple is disagree.
And what we're seeing is, and we're just compiling the 16 results right now, is they love our drivers. We We think they're the best because of their compassion. And I think everyone in this community that's in this field knows it's not just a driving job. They have to have a certain personality to work with people that are not always at their best or people that are just really vulnerable, and to have that kind of heart. So we're really proud of our drivers. What we're seeing, I think, in the purple and what we're interpreting is when we have to deny rides. And I think some of the information that you've seen is that we put in the application is we were contracted for like 700 rides. We're going to deliver like 1,900 rides. And, you know, when someone calls in for a service, you know, can you fit within the funding parameters? And yes, we do collaborate with others, but frankly, with that growth that you've seen, we're looking at other funds to provide that so people can stay in their homes. And once again, I think we all felt disappointed with the Wounded Warriors, you know, publicity, and so that's one of the reasons we attaching this slide now is. You know, we have the Charity Navigator. We are applying for the Better Business so that people feel comfortable and that all our financials and our practices are transparent. I think when we accept public funds, it's part of our responsibility to make sure that you feel comfortable that we are doing the right thing. But can I just say, it's a really hard job to keep everybody happy. There's the Federal Transit Administration, the Department of Transportation, Department of Regulatory Agencies with the Public Utilities Commission. There's Healthcare Policy and Finance. There's Public Health and Environment, State Union on Aging, and Colorado Springs and Metro. But just let you know, that's where we are. That's who we are. We enjoy what we do. We're proud of what we do, and we appreciate the support that you give us to allow us to do that. So, and just a little. That's a driver that's been with us for 25 years. We gave him his own little, add-on on his bus. So.
I like that.
Special.
But if you ever want a question about what's going on in the community, the drivers know. I mean, I'm sure not only AMBCAB, but, you know, Silver Key, Fountain Valley. I think all the county commissioners and city council people, if they want to understand what's going on with the disabled and elderly community, they'll give them the Cliff Notes. Any questions? Can I help?
You mentioned a volunteer driver. Are all your drivers, or some of them volunteer, or how does that work? How many are paid, and other staff too?
So all basically from we are on that body on chassis bus. It's a large bus, and with the PUC requirements, we are paying all of those drivers. The volunteers are typically we're looking at that weekend service if we can, or the evening services. But when you're driving that here, so just on the way here this morning. At the intersection of I-25 and Uinta, there is a CDL Class A driver stuck underneath the railroad bridge. I mean, there's so much liability, you know, from an insurance point of view, all that.
Understand.
Yeah. So we pay the drivers that are in those kinds of vehicles.
The volunteer drives the minivan.
Yeah. And that's a very good question. I mean, yes, I'm sorry.
Thank you for your presentation. I like the pie chart here. And I was just wondering, this is for the non-AAA funds. How does this compare percentage-wise with the amount that you receive from us?
No, I'm sorry. Good. Go ahead. So let me.
So, I mean, is it 60% comes from AAA and this is 40%? Is it 80%, 20% for this?
Less than 20%.
Okay, that would be a helpful thing just to.
Thank you. I'm sorry. Yep.
Next time.
Any other questions?
I just have a question.
Yeah.
Are you currently involved with the Age-Friendly Colorado Springs in their transportation?
No, but let me take that under advisement. What a great hint.
Would
Of course.
Because that is your mission with
Sure,
disability.
it is.
And the community of our population that have disabilities, it's very difficult for them.
Yes.
For us who are not disabled to recognize what happens day after tomorrow when I am disabled.
Right.
It's a shock.
Right. So I'm just working with someone on our board is visually impaired, and she was coming to a meeting at the office yesterday afternoon, and, you know, it takes her an hour and a half to get there. She just lives a couple miles down the road on Academy. And it gives you an appreciation, so I'll be happy to talk with Claire.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you for that presentation. It's very informative and so valuable. Thank you. Our next presentation is from El Paso Fountain Valley Seniors.
Stand by, Dennis.
And the advancement is the arrow key?
Arrow key left and right, yes. Wait.
Good morning.
Which one?
Hello and good morning. Nice to see you again. I know some of you know me, but
No, MCSS.
for those of you who don't know me, I'm
They'll be
Dennis
coming up
Crosser
next.
from the El Paso Fountain Valley Senior Citizens Program. And my title is Transportation Operations Supervisor through El Paso County, and I'm also the Executive Director of the Fountain Valley Senior Center. The Fountain Valley Senior Center has been in existence for 40 years, so we're actually celebrating 40 years as of this year, and has worked hard to accommodate persons 55 years and older. Let me find the right arrow key. Don't see that it's working. I'm hitting buttons, but I don't see any.
See the arrow key?
Yeah,
At the
there's.
bottom?
Yep.
It'd be the right or the down.
It's been working on right, which is what it should do. Joe, you want to? Lisa, that's the projector.
Oh, there it goes.
Now it's working.
Going too fast.
Is that too many?
Yeah.
There's a lag. It needs to go back.
Oop, okay. We can go back to the building, the front of the building with all our wonderful clients standing out there in the sunlight. And the organization seeks to establish services to meet the elderly. Fountain Valley Senior Center operates on a very small staff of dedicated people, maintaining all guidelines and constraints through the funding sources and daily circumstances and situations. FVSC is determined to make the best choices through understanding daily needs and exercising common sense to provide the utmost solution. The staff is equipped to properly handle most questions that any caller or any senior adult should call in and request. Our mission statement is to provide services and activities to older adults which enhance dignity, support independence, and encourage involvement in the community. The El Paso Fountain Valley Senior Citizens Program was established on June 25, 1975, through an agreement between the Board of County Commissioners and a group of retired citizens who saw a need for services in this population. On October 7, 1976, the first business meeting was held. Today, the organization operates collectively through the support of both El Paso County and the nonprofit senior citizens, utilizing county and nonprofit employees. Next, also, FVSC could not provide the level of services that it offers without relying on the value and support from its many dedicated volunteers. The program operates a senior center for seniors who reside in the greater Fountain Valley, to include Fountain, Security, Wyfield, Stratmore Valley, Southmore, and in the eastern area we provide services to Calhoun, Peyton, Yoder, Ellicott, Rush, and Falcon. The El Paso Fountain Valley Senior Citizens Program receives Title III funding to support assisted transportation and regular transportation, and also for its rural area meal program for home-delivered meals and nutrition education. We provide door-to-door and door-through-door regular transportation and assisted transportation to eligible persons age 60 and older and under 60 disabled persons confined to a wheelchair living in the Fountain Valley and eastern El Paso County areas. Our programs are prioritized. Dialysis is number one, and medical is number two. Congregate, adult day programs, work/volunteering, shopping, personal, religious, education, recreation, and other needs. We have, in our transportation for 2015, provided 558 unduplicated clients with 17,279 one-way trips at $21.81 cost per ride. The total expense was $376,855, and again for the 17,200 one-way trips. We have 9 part-time drivers, 1 part-time transportation coordinator, 1 part-time dispatch scheduler, and a small handful of volunteers. Our 9 drivers are employed through El Paso County. The transportation coordinator and dispatch are funded through Title III monies. We currently have 11 vehicles in use, 7 ADA-compliant minibuses, 1 regular full-size van, 2 minivans, and 1 wheelchair-accessible mobility vehicle, accumulating a total of 270,447 vehicle miles and 1,312,176 passenger miles. Fountain Valley Senior Center also provides a vehicle to cover the Falcon Area Transportation Program, which includes Peyton and Black Forest, and to accommodate extra need for residents living in Ellicott, Yoder, and Rush.
Wow.
The Fountain Valley Senior Center transportation vehicles are fueled, maintained by El Paso County Department Transportation Fleet Maintenance Program through a method of understanding agreement detailing all maintenance procedures and requirements. The employees at the Fountain Valley Senior Center and El Paso County Fleet Maintenance Program have developed an outstanding relationship concerning maintenance procedures and requirements for providing safe and well-maintained vehicles. All right. The Rural Area Meal Program, also known as RAMP, provides service to individuals who are age 60 and older within the entire El Paso County. The RAMP program serves residents of southern and eastern El Paso County, delivering nutritionally balanced frozen meals, sandwiches, and shelf-stable meals weekly to residents 60 years of age and older and disabled residents who are homebound or geographically isolated. For 2015, the RAMP program delivered 5,091 frozen meals to 54 unduplicated clients, 752 monthly nutrition education newsletters to 54 qualifying older adults. The RAMP food is distributed and delivered frozen by qualified volunteers person to person. Advanced delivery arrangements are made so clients can expect the time and date of the visit. Through the help of the RAMP Nourishing Meal Delivery Program, many seniors are kept healthier longer and can stay in their own home as long as possible. The cost for food to accommodate this growing need rises every year. Preference and priority of services for both transportation and RAMP are given to older persons with the greatest social economic need, with particular attention to low-income minority individuals and individuals who are frail, homebound by reason of illness or incapacitating disability or otherwise isolated. The need caused by non-economic factors, which include physical and mental disabilities, economically disadvantaged, and those whose ethnicity are identified as minority, and including persons with cultural, social, and language barriers or geographical isolation, which restricts an individual's ability to perform normal daily tasks or which threatens such individual capacity to live independently. All in one sentence. FVSC works to meet the needs of those older adults who are living in rural El Paso County and have limited access to service within city limits, which include individuals who need assistance due to cognitive and or physical difficulties limiting their ability to utilize regular vehicular transportation, those older adults who have difficulty going from one location to another for various reasons. And furthermore, when public transportation is unavailable or is available, most seniors are unable to access this service due to physical or other limitations getting to the bus stops in their area. The Transportation Department provides transportation to an average of, 5 days a week to approximately 48 individual clients per day, to an average of 16 to 20 of those clients coming to Fountain Valley Senior Center meal site, where they can participate in socialization, activities, classes, as well as the daily meal program, serving an average of 90 to 120 diners per day. And in the eastern location in Calhoun serves an average of 100 diners 2 times a month. Okay. The Fountain Valley Senior Center and RAMP program conducts staff meetings, driver discussion workshop, and trainings that enable all related employees to share issues, concerns, challenges, and successes. Move on. The meetings maintain a comfortable open-door policy between staff, clients, and the business community that help keep everyone involved, informed, and motivated through better communication and understanding. And then going back a little bit to the RAMP, or to the Route Match program, scheduled, go ahead and go forward. Yeah, there we go. Scheduled rides, vehicles and drivers are generated through Route Match, a relatively new scheduling dispatch program for the Fountain Valley Senior Transportation. It is proving to be a user-friendly software device and effective in proving easy reports to all of our funding agencies.
I'd like to have a picture of that over my computer,
Yeah,
please.
isn't that great?
It's a public service for my psyche. Sorry.
That's okay. The El Paso Fountain Valley Senior Center Transportation staff works honestly and diligently to be in compliance with proper reporting procedures and is in full acknowledgement and of discrepancies and fully committed to correcting them. Fountain Valley Senior Center Transportation Department has been coordinated with Silver Key, Amblicap Community Intersections, and PPACG to establish and develop an overall centralized dispatch system that will provide a more efficient and cost-effective transportation service in and around the regions of Colorado Springs, Fountain Valley, eastern El Paso County, and the surrounding communities. This will be a mutually beneficial arrangement all partners can feel good about. Fountain Valley reaches out to the community in various different ways. One of the major means of community recognition is through the annual Labor Day Fountain Fall Festival, displaying its minibuses and minivans as part of the parade. In 2006, in 2006, 2012, and 2014 parade event, the Transportation Department constructed a float that took first place trophies each of the 3 times, receiving the Traveling Trophy and the Mayor's Award in 2006 and the Best in Theme Award in 2012 and 2014. Of course, they were 3 different floats, too. Okay, and we can go ahead and move on. As a challenge for the Transportation and RAMP program indicates that both programs have operated within a budget range that is difficult to provide a wage sufficient to hire the proper amount of employees needed for growth. Our very small staff of part-time workers accommodate demand services on a very large scale and are diverse in every department. Our part-time El Paso County drivers are paid less than $9 an hour, and our part-time office staff workers are paid $10 an hour, whereas many are usually retired individuals working for supplemental pay, and therefore turnover of employees is frequent. There has always been a challenge accommodating clients who reside in the eastern towns of El Paso County. A couple difficulties that factor into these are distance and weather conditions. Due to the high volume of ride requests to the ratio of low number of pay drivers generates an unmet need to where lower priority rides are not given because vehicles are tied up in high priority rides. A challenge for the RAMP program includes the need to develop and implement a plan to increase the number of volunteers to accommodate the continuing growth of the program in relation to the demands of client needs. Plus, many clients are apprehensive to new volunteers, and it takes time to regain their trust. There is an average of 6.8 clients per month who are placed on a waiting list due to prioritization. Title III is a valuable funding source for the Fountain Valley Senior Transportation and Rural Area Meal Programs. Go ahead. The cost for appreciation, gratitude, and smiles is priceless. And finally, in conclusion, the Fountain Valley Senior Center has been in the business of providing effective and dependable services to the elderly population for 40 years and will continue to maintain the energy and commitment it takes to strive to and reach toward excellence. That is it.
Are there questions?
Yes, sir.
Where do the ramp meals come from?
Stephen Savage, I am the ramp coordinator. The meals are provided through GA Foods.
Through what?
GA.
Foods. It is a distributing company.
Okay. And they are picked up in North Colorado Springs, correct? They are delivered, and we pick them up in Colorado Springs. We have a freezer, and we store the food in our freezer until they are ready to be delivered.
Is it frozen when you receive it?
Yes. The frozen food is frozen. Then there's the shelf-stable, which is packaged food.
I think you mentioned, if I could follow up, I think you mentioned too that you serve primarily the southern and eastern El Paso County, but I think I also heard you say all of El Paso County. I'm on the northern end, so what would it take for the northern end of about El Paso County to get ramp meals?
We do that area as well.
If they are
outside of Colorado Springs.
City limits, we can't provide those meals to them.
Okay, should I talk with one of you afterwards? then?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Edith will be very helpful to you.
Okay, great. Lisa?
Just wanted to add a little bit of a regional comment about the ramp meals. All three of our rural area meal program providers, which is El Paso, Fountain Valley, Teller Senior Coalition, and Park County Senior Coalition, use the Sun Meadows / GA Foods provider, and all of the meals that they order have been analyzed by our registered dietitian and meet the requirements, the nutritional requirements of what's required for those meals.
Okay, thanks.
I'd like to know how the partnership on the transportation works. I mean, so you're partnering with, how do you know who's going to do what when? Do you have a central phone number?
Not at this point in time. That is the future goal of what the centralized call center is working toward.
Since I have Eastern El Paso, and I deal with those people out there, is it a lack of communication that these people, how do I say that? Those people aren't going anywhere, period. Their transportation, it's either family, friends, or neighbors that take them. And this waiting thing, do they cancel out when, do you guys get appointments for them and take them into town?
Yes, we do. We are now working at a higher level of getting the Eastern clients served. We did have a driver temporarily stationed out there, but that procedure has changed just in the last month, where all calls are coming out of the Fountain Valley Senior Center.
Well, I know there's a lady that volunteered, she has with here, have gotten a grant.
As a volunteer driver?
As a driver for the gas and stuff, I guess. It's one lady, you have to call her 3 days in advance to get, and she can only take a few anyway.
I may be unaware of that.
And, well, this is just something that's come up in the last year,
Okay.
I guess, something like that. But I do know that a lot of them, if they call you, do they cancel sometimes, or most of the time? Or
Yeah, I wouldn't say most of the time, but we get calls and cancellations. We work our Eastern clients the same as we work our Fountain Valley clients. The distance is just a little bit different, but we are accommodating drivers out to that area.
Okay.
That's one of our biggest goals for this year, is to make that stronger.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. I'm getting tired of taking everybody everywhere.
Well, you're the person.
No, there's another
Oh,
person,
okay.
but I'm one that I don't get paid for it.
Yeah.
I don't have a grant for it or nothing. I just know the people out there, and I know they're not going anywhere, and they're stubborn.
That is a very difficult area to serve. We are working on it, and it is a very difficult area
Well,
to
maybe
serve.
I ought to get with you, and we might have to converse about this stuff.
You can get with Greg.
Okay.
Greg's back here is the transportation
Okay.
coordinator, and he's the one that's really works hard to put all that together.
And you have 54 clients out that area, in that eastern El Paso area that you deliver the food to?
The 54 clients is throughout El Paso County, excluding Colorado Springs. So it's not just in the eastern areas. It does include Fountain and Security and Whitefield, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
All of eastern and
Southern.
County outside of Colorado Springs city limits.
Right.
How many would you say are out east?
About 10 right now. give or
Wow.
take. And I'm trying to build the eastern side up more if possible.
You only have about 10 out there, huh? Wow.
And transportation-wise, we have probably about, how many would you say we're regularly serving out there?
That's maybe 30 have come to Falcon.
About 30.
We just sent some letters out, trying to explain our situation, they're calling back. We're trying to explain what we're changing in our system. We're taking a lady out today, she's been kind of disappointed in her service, so we're working it today. Told her, don't cancel, we gotta get out of there, and she's coming out to do it.
Right.
One-on-one seems to help.
Well, like you say, I know quite a few of them out there, and they are very cantankerous at times.
Who can't be?
Welcome to my world.
That explains your personality.
Hey, you have to get right in the middle of them, because if you don't, you're in trouble. Because they will eat you alive.
Wow.
Oh, glad it's you, not me.
Mine
Well,
stay away.
You just got to be as tough as they are, or maybe a little tougher,
No,
I guess is what you'd say. But my husband was born and raised out there. So I'm either related to him or I know him. Got to try that on for size. But I will get with you on this.
And I might add one more thing in there. To me, if you haven't been down to a noon meal at the Fountain Valley Senior Center, you need to do that, because it's the epitome of what we try to do with our money. It's a cooperative effort between the senior center, who has wonderful activities before and after the meal. The place is packed. You've got the transportation program that's bringing folks in, and then you've got the Golden Circle program that's serving the meals. And it's everything we try to do with our money. So if you ever get a chance to do that, get down there.
Yeah, please do.
And on the second Friday, there's someone who plays the piano and they have a dance.
Oh,
Just saying.
But the schools and stuff out there have for seniors, like soup and salad once a month. The Ellicott does that. And then the churches do certain things also. So that's a lot of it that's been going on out there. But I did know that you did bring meals out, the frozen meals out.
Well, once again, do come out and visit us. Wendy has been out there many times.
Never miss the ice cream social on the second Friday. This guy here plays the piano and they have a dance.
Yeah.
there you go.
It's fun.
Okay. Anything else?
No,
thank you. Thank you.
No, they don't want to be in issue.
We are very fortunate to have collaborators throughout our three-county area that have this kind of events that are meaningful in a very soul-reliant way. they can't live without it, is what I mean by sole reliant. So what we do really makes a huge difference in this community. And having our presenters here brings that to us in a very concrete way, but not as concrete as going out in the middle of a luncheon at the Fountain Valley Senior Center. That's quite an experience. So thank you all for what you have done and for what you've presented today. It makes me happy. Mountain Community Senior Center. I forgot. I thought we'd gotten there. Hey, come on up. And so you already know what I want to say about you, so come join us. Thank you, Joe. I apologize. We thought we could just skip out. No. No, you may have to do it twice, once for my apology and once because you're really doing it. Thank you.
Sure. I'm Cindy Rush, and I'm Director of the Handyman Services at Mountain Community Senior Services. And this is Jody Richardson, and she is the Director of our Social Transportation. We provide transportation and handyman services up in northwest El Paso County for people 60 and over. And I'm going to talk just for a minute about the handyman service, and then I'm going to turn it over to Jody because I think you'll find our social transportation is quite interesting. With the handyman services, I wanted to thank you for some of the changes that have happened, because this fiscal year, for the first year, we can actually do some things that aren't strictly safety related. And many times, I have two fabulous volunteers that go out for the most part, and they'll do these things anyway, but you go into someone's home and they need a railing, and that's why they've called. They say, oh, by the way, the toilet's been running in the downstairs bathroom, or that table leg is uneven. Is there anything you can do? And if I've hired someone to go in because it's a big enough job that a real contractor has to take it on, those little things won't get done. Now they can. I actually use a contractor called Number One Son, who is geared towards seniors, and if a client asks if they can change out the filter in the furnace while they're there checking on an electric plug, they can do that. And that's been a big help to our seniors up there, to have those other little odd jobs done while the safety issues are being taken care of. And actually, one of the hardest things, I think, with the handyman service is because I go out and I meet each client, and we fill out the paperwork, and I look at the jobs that need to be done. And then I also try to make some recommendations for other things that might help them out in the home. And they are so darn independent. They don't want that extra railing put in over there. We've even tried to just move some furniture so it would make it easier to pass through with the, no, don't touch. So one of our challenges with the handyman service is just getting our seniors to accept some of the things that we bring up to them that would help them age in place a little bit easier. But our transportation program, first of all, our trips are up considerably this year. We project out to somewhere between 4,500 and 4,800, which is more than we've ever had before. And a good piece of that is our social transportation, because that's almost 2/3 of our numbers. We have medical, we take them to haircuts, we'll go to the grocery store, individual rides. And then the social actually uses group rides. We have our shuttle now that carries 12 people, and we have a van. So the social transportation is a great deal larger than the medical transportation. One of the things I wanted you to know is that we don't have a waiting list. We've not had to turn anyone down. But getting drivers is a big challenge, and we're always working on that, trying to get more drivers for both the shuttle and individual rides. But so far, we've been very fortunate in not having to turn anyone away. So I'm going to turn this over to Jody for a few minutes and let her tell you a little bit more about our social transportation, which is, as I say, close to 2/3 of our transportation.
Thank you. Our clients are, they've become a family. And it's even gotten more so since, with your help, we were able to get our little shuttle bus. We do have 12 seats on the bus that we can take 12 people at a time. Before the bus, we would have individual drivers that we would reimburse their mileage, and so they would usually take the same freebie because we tried to coordinate picking up people that lived in close proximity to each other. And so they would become close friends, the people that rode in the same car. But now that they're all on the same bus, they take care of each other. They worry about each other. They grieve when we lose someone, which we just did this week. And they have become family in many ways. I was telling Cindy this morning on the way, we have 2 ladies that started riding with us, and they are as different as night and day. And they live with their children, and one of the women, her children were leaving for a week, so the other woman went to spend the week with her. We were to pick them both up at the same address. And they invited a couple drivers over for lunch. And so when I got there, her son had brought up an entire case of wine so that we'd have plenty of wine for lunch. And they were telling me that every day they, on Netflix, watched horror movies. So it was like this slumber party for 80-year-olds. And so it was great. Well, then the next few weeks later, the other daughter, the other woman, her daughter went on vacation, so the other lady went to stay with her. And so they invited me over for liver and onions for dinner and cards, but I had to make sure and bring my money because we don't play cards unless it's for money. And so it was pretty cool. But then one of my other drivers was driving the shuttle one day, and I went over where they're having lunch to drop some paperwork off in the shuttle, and the driver happened to be there, and she was telling me it was the week that one lady was staying with the other, and she made the comment, she said, you know, Jody, 10 years ago, these ladies would have never been friends. And she's right, because they come from completely different social and cultural backgrounds. But now they're like sisters because of this program where that's their social the social things that we do. We provide, lunch is provided through this week, through today. We had usually 3 to 4 social functions a week. Lunch was on Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and then on 2 different Tuesdays during the month. One Tuesday a month, we would take them to Village Inn for breakfast and Walmart for shopping. Now, we had one lady who decided she didn't want to go shopping with us to Walmart because we wouldn't spend 4 hours there. Now, who can spend 4 hours at Walmart? But this lady couldn't, so she gave up on us because we thought an hour and a half to 2 hours was usually more than these ladies can handle. But anyway, so we do that, and then on the 3rd Tuesday of every month, our senior center provides a tea for the ladies, so we take them to tea. And then every now and then we try and schedule a fun social activity. I've taken them to Botanical Gardens when Choluli was there for his exhibit. One of our ladies loves Cripple Creek and begged if we could go, so we planned a fall scenic tour. And and I took my book along. Usually for these I drive, and I took my book along because I thought I'd have a good day to read. And when we get there, she informed me that her daughter told her that she could not go to the bathroom by herself and she could not gamble by herself. So I had to stay with her. So I'm becoming actually proficient at Cripple Creek, maybe. But anyway, so we try and do those things. Starting April, Silver Key has taken over the meals program, and they're going to provide meals 5 days a week. Our service has not provided 5 days a week. We're completely volunteer-centric, and we do not have enough volunteer drivers. I can barely get enough drivers now to handle the days that we've got. So, as we get more volunteer drivers, we would love to be able to take our clients to all of the lunches, not only just for the food, but for the social, because as I say, that's how they take care of each other. But as it is right now, we'll continue to provide what we can, and as we get more volunteers, then we're going to try and work with Pat so that they can go to lunch every day. Thank you. Are there any questions? Yes.
I'd just like to add, when they say they're volunteers, they are completely volunteers. There is no paid staff. Every penny of this organization goes directly to service. There's no admin cost. I just wanted to say
True,
that.
thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.
Goodness.
Any other questions?
No, but thank you. That's incredible. And thank you for bringing that story to us, because we wonder, how do we get along, and who do we know that we would call? Is there anyone you would feel comfortable calling and inviting to stay in your home for a week while your family goes? That's what we work with in the Family Caregiver Support Center all the time. And there your own community is working with that particular situation. And where we all to be able to communicate that and bring that to our community. So thank you. You thought you were providing transportation. I say you also are doing the family caregiving support. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
We have great volunteers.
Well, and just real quick, thank you for the funding, because without Pikes Peak AAA, this program wouldn't exist. So thank you very much.
Yes, it's been amazing. We appreciate it.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, now, for my faux pas, let's try to get me back on track. Joe?
Sure.
I'll try to be brief and honor your time. Just a few updates, starting at the top on the national level. I don't know how many people have been following the reauthorization of the Older Americans Act in Congress. The current state of affairs in a nutshell is that the Older Americans, just to give you a very brief history, Older Americans Act was scheduled to be reauthorized on its every 5-year cycle in 2011. It has not been reauthorized since 2011. So we're double the time period we're supposed to have been under. We have kind of funded it annually each year, but it has not been officially reauthorized. In a nutshell, the Senate passed a version a couple months ago, went to the House. The House has passed a version, which was, by the way, a bipartisan version of the Older Americans Act. It was sent back to the Senate, and we have been told that it very likely will not have to go back to Senate committee, that it will go straight to the floor because it was a bipartisan bill coming out of the House. And so very good likelihood that it will pass as is when it comes back up, which they anticipate, I think, in about a week and a half or so, something like that.
Joe?
Ma'am.
Wasn't there an issue about we're not getting our share?
Yeah, I'm going to talk about that just a little bit.
Good lead-in.
There were components of the authorization that were somewhat contentious for some places, particularly Colorado, which has a high percentage, has had a high percentage of growth in people over 65. And in addition to that, there was a challenge with the census figures that were being used. They were using 2000 census figures to allocate the money as opposed to 2010 census figures. The other component that was involved there was what's called the Hold Harmless Clause, which basically states that no state can lose money. You can gain money, but you cannot lose money. Well, the only way you can gain money if somebody else doesn't lose money is if Congress appropriates more money. So, long story short, what we know of the bill, which, as I said, has not been passed yet, is not official, is that it does not change the Hold Harmless Clause. It has a small, I think it's a 1% change in the Hold Harmless Clause, which really doesn't do much of anything. It was more symbolic. And but it does revise the figures to include 2010 census figures instead of 2000 census. So the bottom line is we got part of what we needed, not all of what we needed. On the state level, Dave alluded to Senior Day at the Capitol yesterday. It was a great success. Colorado Senior Lobby is the one that does that. The place that's held is the old Supreme Court Chambers, which is one of the greatest rooms probably in the state. It's an incredible building. But We had, I think, roughly 300 folks in attendance in that room, and then even more than that at the luncheon. Good opportunity. I would encourage anybody from this area that wants to kind of get an idea what goes on at the state level to come up. The original intent of that activity is to get the legislators there to speak, and we did hear some of them speak. We did hear the governor and the Secretary of State, which was a great deal, given the fact that all of the caucuses were going on surrounding the budget. Yesterday was probably the busiest day of the year at the Capitol because the budget caucuses were taking place. So a lot going on. On the state level, I guess the best way to synopsize it is, with the Older Americans Act, there's a projection of somewhere around 6.7% increase over the next 3 to 4 years in terms of the budget, which is probably going to be about what we lose on the state level. So, and if you don't know, those budgets make up roughly 50-50, not exactly, but close to half and half. The state budget is projected to drop roughly, right now, the budget that's on the table right now is projected to drop roughly $500,000 in terms of senior services. Now, what that translates to us, we don't know. It's not going to be a huge amount of money. As most of you know, over the course of the last 2 to 3 years, we've picked up almost $12 million in additional funding from the state. So the state has done a wonderful job of filling in the gap for the feds when they could not meet their end of the bargain, and it looks like that pendulum may be swinging back the other way a little bit, in that the federal government is going to pick up a little bit more than the state for the next few years. And I'm not going to get into a long speech about Tabor and the hospital provider fee, but that is basically what's motivating all of this right now. Is we're going to give significant refunds out unless they move the hospital provider fee into the fee section rather than under the taxation budget. Also on...
I'm sorry, I had questions about that when we were there yesterday. So I would think I would know more about the hospital provider fee thing, but where would be a good place for us to go to find out more about that?
I would say at this point in time, as much conversation as there is about it, if you just Google Colorado hospital provider fee, you're going to have more than you can ever read.
It was something I was unaware of, but it was a huge topic of discussion yesterday, and I thought I should be more aware of this. I was surprised. So anyway,
the hospital provider fee, is simply put, is being treated as a tax right now, and therefore pushes us over the Tabor limits and forces an automatic refund. So the state will be giving back money to folks at the same time they're cutting the state budget pretty significantly. Also on the state level, we were fortunate enough to host a group from Nashwood 3 weeks ago maybe, and some of our providers were very helpful. Pat was here, Sarah Qualls from UCCS was here. The state has commissioned a study of the way we collect data. We've always done a wonderful job of putting our statistics in. How many people did we serve per dollar? How many of those were individual clients? Nobody has ever really taken that data and figured out what does that mean in terms of results. We're in a results-driven society in this day and age, and just to say you did 57,000 meals doesn't mean much unless you can prove that by doing those 57,000 meals, you were able to keep somebody in their home and independent longer. We know that anecdotally that that's a fact, but we need to be able to prove that to be able to get the funding. And so those folks are working on a data study, which they anticipate having the results of that hopefully around the end of June, I think, was what their goal was, what they were shooting for. We were very anxious to hear that because, as many of you know, anybody that knew Guy knows that this place is data-centric, and Carrie as well, and Lisa. We do a lot to gather that information. We want to be able to use it more effectively, so we're going to be real excited to hear what they say. That may entail enhancing the software systems. It may entail ways of just using the information we have and putting it together in better packages. Claire talked about the age-friendly initiative, and the Joe Henjum Awards last night were tremendous. It was a great opportunity to see a community come together. There's nothing like that anywhere else in the state, I can tell you that. It's a unique component to Colorado Springs, how all the agencies get together. So should be proud of that. Many of you know we did a kind of a retreat a while back. We're synthesizing the results of that. One of the key components that came out of that was that we want to involve volunteers more closely in the operations and the workings of the AAA and vice versa. So everybody should be getting meeting minutes notices. We encourage all the volunteers, and by volunteers I mean front desk volunteers. Anybody that comes in touch with the AAA is invited to come to this meeting, put their 2 cents worth in. We had folks involved in the retreat. They were invited to the retreat as well. So any place we see an opportunity to involve the greater community, we're going to try to do that going forward. And Dennis alluded to the call center. That's what I'm going to end with. The call center has been quite a project. It's been a long-standing project. I think we made a big leap just a couple weeks ago in that there was agreement on all the parties that we should merge the databases together. All of the 4 providers have been using what's called Route Match, which is a scheduling software. By merging those databases together, it will offer the opportunity for all 4 of those providers to be able to see the rides that other folks are providing, to be able to offer to assist with those rides. If the common scenario is somebody will be able to give a one-way ride one direction, but they can't get that person back after that appointment to the original location, whereas an example of Silver Key may be taking somebody out to St. Francis North, and Dennis has got a bus that's coming back from St. Francis North not too long after that, and they can share the opportunity to put those rides together, or Amblicab, or community intersections. So we're excited about getting those databases merged together. Should happen, as I understand it, in about the next 4 to 6 weeks, and then we will start the hard work of seeing how that works to put everything together. Any questions for me?
Merging databases is not easy.
It's not easy, and it requires it requires us to answer some hard questions. But the folks that are answering those phones, the dispatchers and the schedulers, are just a tremendous group of people, and I think we're going to get through it pretty easy, actually. Thank you.
He says hopefully.
Hopefully. Look.
And Lisa?
I changed my mind about using the computer because I have handouts. Fine.
There you go.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Good morning. I'm Lisa Aldridge. I'm the Program Services and Contract Administrator for the Pikes Peak Area Council of Governments Area Agency on Aging. And what you have before you is a provider performance report that includes best practices and compliance issues. This is a document that is being created for the use of the Technical Review Subcommittee to help them make decisions, funding decisions for the region for the 2016-17 fiscal year. So the first column has the agency name, and then the most recent assessment date, a column for best practices, a column for compliance issues, and then a column for compliance issue resolution. This report is lacking entry for one provider because I'm in the midst of working on their last assessment right now and getting that entered into our assessment database. So what I do when I assess a provider is, first of all, Debbie and I coordinate and schedule those assessments. The State Unit on Aging requires that AAAs assess their providers at least once a year. So every year we visit our providers, just like the State Unit on Aging assesses our services once a year as well. We put together an assessment form that has the standards that we're going to be assessing them on. That goes out to them approximately 30 days before their assessment. Sometimes it's a little tighter time frame than that, but I try to get that out 30 days prior to their assessment. That way they know what we're assessing them on. We ask them for particular documents to have ready for us to review when we get there. And then we get there and we assess on those standards and we review the documents, we review client files, we review employee files. Depending on the number of services that a provider provides, an assessment can go anywhere from an hour to almost a whole day. And Silver Key has grown so much in the last couple of years. You're the first graduate to almost a whole day of assessing, and you're welcome. You know they love it. Everybody likes somebody to come in and look at their stuff. So it's not as bad as an IRS audit. That, you know, so they set the bar for horrible. So that's pretty easy to meet. Anyhow, so we go out there on the day of the assessment, and then within 30 days, or as close to 30 days as I can get given my workload, we get a report out to them. If there are compliance issues, they have 30 days to resolve those issues. So that's the process. We have currently 19 providers, and we have like over 50 some lines of service. If you add up all the services, individual services those providers provide. Any questions so far? Gail? Yes, I'll get to that. Over the course of time, you develop a little bit of a telepathic ability here.
There you go.
And I did, yeah. Yeah. I've got it highlighted here so I don't miss it. So what you have before you, like I said, I explained the columns to you. So I'm just going to hit the highlights. I'm not going to read everything to you because I don't really want to put you to sleep before you've even had your lunch. So and one thing I do want to correct is if you look at AMBLICAB, the very first compliance issue is for not having assessments completed for their assisted transportation clients. Well, another agency, I think it's Ann at Silver Key, noticed there was a discrepancy between one document the state put out and another document that the state put out. One document said the assessment was needed, and the other document said it wasn't. So I called the state and come to find out those assessments aren't needed. So we're removing that issue from AMBLICAB. Was that it? Did I read you correctly?
There was 24 hours of investment in that misunderstanding. So in the future, I would really, and I think it's an obligation from the state to make it clear to you all.
Yes.
That was a significant
Investment of your time, yes. What? You can call Ann and thank her or send her chocolate. I'm sure she'll appreciate it. We have some really detail-oriented people at the provider level, and they keep me on my toes with things like this. So they just don't sit back and take what I have to say like it's the gospel. If there's any question, I will hear about it. And I'm great with that because it keeps me learning. I learn something new every day in this job.
Excuse me, so just interrupt again.
No, go ahead.
So do we get a final report from you that says, how we did on the audit?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and that'll be removed when you get your final report. Okay. So let me tell you what an assessment is and why it involves such an investment of time. An assessment is what the state requires us to do to develop a plan for providing services to a client. It's also an eligibility tool for some clients, such as homemaker services, personal care services, chore services, case management, and delivered meals. Every 6 months, they have to be redone to ensure they're still eligible when they're receiving those services. So it is time-consuming. It requires a lot of back and forth between the provider and the client, and then it has to be entered into the SAMS database. which is the information that Joe was referring to for the data that we collect. So we have all this information in this huge database, and we have all these canned reports, but none of them really give us what we need with our own data. So we spend all this time putting our data in a database that we can't then pull out customized reports in, and the canned reports just don't always meet our needs. So that was just a little side note. But that's what an assessment is. So that's why Gail is not happy that they spent 24 hours working on it, but happy that they did find out that it's not going to be a compliance issue. Any questions so far? Okay. So a lot of our best practices, when we go out to an agency, of course, we want to see what folks are doing right. And that's not just to make people feel good, but it's also to share that information with other providers. And every time our providers get together, what I hear back from them, like at the provider fair, and when providers come to speak, other providers pick up tidbits of how to do things better and how to improve their own services when they're with other providers in the room. You guys agree? Very helpful. So some of the most common best practices are coordination with other agencies. Every provider in this region works diligently to ensure that their clients don't only get the services that they're providing, but if they see a need for a service they're not providing, they are very diligent about referring those clients to other providers or community providers that maybe aren't even AAA funded to get those needs met. Vehicle drivers for transportation services, handyman services, and home delivered meals, they are the closest layer to the clients. So if you want to get some really good information about how individual clients' lives are going, talk to those people. They are on the front line with our clients. And they can tell you if they're living in squalor, if they're low on food, if there's a possibility of mistreatment or abuse. Those are the folks that know all of that about the providers. Another thing that's been really helpful for our transportation providers is the Route Match program. This is helped to increase collaboration among the transportation providers that are using it. Cash handling has been a big thing. A lot of our providers have stepped up to the plate and improved their cash handling processes. So for 3 years now, the State Unit on Aging has been really focused on cash handling techniques. So when money comes in, they want 2 people to be there to count the money and log it, and 2 people initial it, and then how long is it held in the office before it gets deposited. So a lot of our providers have really stepped up and improved those services. Another common best practice is confidentiality and going above and beyond. We have a couple of providers, Colorado Legal Services and UCCS, that got best practices for that. Language assistance, we have a couple of providers that we're not required in this area to provide language assistance, but a lot of our providers do. And then we have one provider who is really keen on identifying mistreatment, abuse, neglect, and exploitation, and is reporting that and working with DHS when they find those instances. That's the top stuff for the best practices. Are there any questions about best practices? So compliance issues, I have to say that our compliance issues are usually kind of nitpicky. The 5 years I've been here, I haven't found one compliance issue that indicates there's any ill intent or possibility of any illegal activity going on. It's just a matter of having to process and interpret a large amount of information and having to meet those standards while concentrating on the services for the consumer. Most of our compliance issues are along the lines of assessments. So getting clear on that with the State Unit on Aging will be a big help along those lines. There are some reports in SAMS that help our providers track those, and I help them learn how to use those reports to help them track their assessments and stay in compliance with that. One of the second most common compliance issues is not having all of the contact information in the grievance policy and procedure. Usually it's the State Unit on Aging not having all of that information. And then another thing, the third most common thing, I think, for compliance issues would be the contribution letters, maybe missing a piece of information, or the contribution policy missing a piece of information. There are some fiscal things that do come up, but those are unusual, and Debbie in the accounting department is very helpful in getting folks straight and on the right road.
Would it be fair
with
to
that.
say the compliance issues are state mandated?
The compliance issues,
When it gets to that point, then it's a state issue versus the others might be procedural issues or policy issues? I mean, just following.
any
things?
compliance issue means that it's out of compliance with the state regulation,
Okay, even though it's a nitpicky one, is what you're saying?
even the nitpicky ones. Mhm.
I was just thinking there might be a way to kind of say, these are really significant ones, these are sort of nitpicky. And the way it's listed here, they're all.
Yeah, they're all
They're
equal.
all given equal weight if that's where you're
Okay,
going.
yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah. They're all given, well, they're not, it's just not, not really,
It's a
but
financial or it's a mishandling of something that's a real issue. The
that's a
others
real
might be-
issue, yeah.
Just didn't follow this.
But they all need to be corrected, is the thing, and some are easier to correct than others, and some do carry more weight than others.
Yeah.
So
That's what I was
if you're,
trying to get at.
if you're an agency and you're having trouble managing your fiscal requirements, that's going to be a little bit different than a sentence missing in a
You
policy.
didn't sign the form or something, yeah.
Right.
But
Yeah.
speaking from the perspective of the State Unit on Aging, every single one of them must be corrected.
Correct.
Understand, but
Mhm.
I'm just trying to say that there's some.
And Dave, we don't operate, like the Department of Health, for example, when they survey a healthcare facility, they've got levels
Yeah, yeah.
of severity. We don't. And quite
Yes, no.
frankly, we
Don't have
like
time.
Lisa said, we don't deal with those seriously. We just don't see them because people are very compliant.
Okay.
Yes. So that's all I have. And you guys have the reports so that you can get into the detail. If you're in the RAC or on the Technical Review Subcommittee, it is my intention to have this completed by the end of this week and out to the Dropbox. Carrie will put it in the Dropbox and we'll email you and let you know when it's ready. Any questions? Anybody ever? Oh, thank you.
Very helpful.
Thank you. Thanks. All right, thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.
We have community information. However, before we go to that, is there, who's?
I'll talk about that, and actually Carrie probably ought to talk about it. These are out. You want to go ahead?
Yeah.
Take off.
So everybody who's come in should have either been handed or picked up one of our brand-new yellow books with a picture of two lovely ladies on the cover taking a selfie. We're trying to bring the analog version of the yellow book a little bit into the 21st century. We have taken delivery of almost all of the boxes we're going to receive here in the building, and I would be very happy after the meeting to load as many boxes as you would like to take with you today. We've also delivered boxes into 12 different sites around the city, including Silver Key, including the Department of Human Services, the Colorado Springs Senior Center, the library system gets them at 3 different drop points. Evans Army Hospital down at Fort Carson, Peterson Air Force Base. So I know the count with Phyllis has gone from 3 boxes to 4 boxes. But the book's a little bit different this year. With Joe's leadership, there have been some adaptations in the book, and I'll let him speak to those. It's slightly thinner in part for that reason, but I'm really pleased with what I've seen so far. I haven't had a chance to flip through page by page. But it was, as always, a labor of love and absolutely a team effort, and that includes folks upstairs in the Policy and Communications Department who play a key role in producing this book every year. And that's about it. So see me if you would like to take some boxes or individual books with you today.
I want to say two things very briefly about the book. Number one, it is truly hot off the press. That was the delivery guy that was walking back and forth through the room a minute ago. They came in this morning. And on that, the deadline for submitting it, which was about 4 weeks ago roughly, was met to the T by our folks upstairs, and the printer met the deadline date. And I don't remember the last time that's ever happened with a printing project, but it probably wasn't in my lifetime. So we appreciate that. This book came in at roughly a 30% cost reduction per book over what we saw last year. Is that correct?
Not quite that high, but still, it was a nice surprise.
And we changed the printing process a little bit, and it was on press, so it was significantly less cost. And at the same time, we think the quality is very high. The one thing that you'll notice that's different than excuse me, the past is that the grids with all the housing components are all at the back, as opposed to broken up according to sections. So you're going to see most of the services at the front, most of the housing components at the back. And the housing and healthcare, I'm sorry.
I'd like to say, very good. At least you got it big enough we can read it.
Yes. We maintained the color and we maintained the size of the fonts, which are both
so
important.
small that you can't read anything anymore.
Absolutely. Any questions about the book in general?
There's
Super.
no limit to the number of copies you can take with you. I can't emphasize enough how
They are
many
free.
books I'd love to see go out the door today, so we can make room for the 91 boxes that are coming back from the printer later today.
And the one thing that we would love to have, if you could give it to us, if you have a stockpile of books that you're going to need to recycle.
From last year, you mean?
From last year, I'm sorry. Yeah, from last year. Please let us know roughly how many you have, because that helps us in our planning cycles. We know that this is a weird year because it's a short cycle. Last year's book came out in June, and we're coming out at about a 9-month period this year. That said, we still would love to know if you got a bunch of them left. Thanks.
Thank you. This is 3 cheers for this. Yesterday when I was at the Resource Council, people said, AAA, Area Agency, where is that? What is it? And I might talk a couple of seconds, and then I quickly realized, oh, you know the Yellow Book? Oh, of course, you're the Yellow Book folks. Yeah, and this is what else we do.
Well, I'd like to know who those were who didn't know what the AAA was.
Well, you know, but there's few because. Huh?
Jan wasn't there last night. But
Jan knows who the AAA is. She was here for a meeting just last week.
Yeah.
She didn't know what rack meant, I guess.
Rack, yeah. So anyway, it was a bit of a little puzzle. Now, just what have you been doing? Anyway, I'm just delighted to see these. Thank you all for who made this happen. If I might take just a little personal note here, last month I invited you all to the presentation at the Pioneers Museum with the book signing and the launch of my book. Here it is. This is it. We are Bethel Nurses, a heritage caring at the foot of Pikes Peak. It was a very well-attended event. There was 135 people came. And we had lots of books, but they sold out. And the Pioneers Museum bookstore was amazed. They said it was the first time it's ever happened. It's the first time I ever published a book. What can I say? New things happen.
Good for you.
I did bring a few books just in case some of you people wanted one. I do have them available. That's just for your information. I am delighted to, if you have groups that you would like to know about the Colorado Springs development of our Memorial Bethel Deaconesses going in reverse hospital and the School of Nursing, I'd be glad to talk with you because I think the development of what our community has done for the concerns of health of our people it was born the day General Palmer came to this town. He said, this is a good place to live.
Oh, yeah.
And everything else has followed, all of us. for all of us. So if there's anything that I can do to assist any of you, I certainly am open to doing that and would like to be available. So thank you for my little moment. Are there other community announcements, that information from our RAC members and from our
I just point out that you might have seen it, that the monument mayor has taken a new job, and there's an election coming up, and there's a slate of 4 new trustees that are running sort of against the incumbents. So monument is going through some transition there. Plus, planning director is brand new, town manager is brand new within the last year. So there's a lot going on in that community. I'd also tag that along with Palmer Lake, their mayor, longtime volunteer mayor, Nikki McDonald, has also decided she's done after 20-some years of being in the political area. So both of the towns up there are going through some transition.
That's huge.
An awful lot of growth. There's an awful lot of issues that are before the community, everything from methadone to water to you name it. It's just one of the things from the northern El Paso County area. There's a lot of attention, I think, being focused on it. And from those of us that live up there, that's one of the things they're trying to do, is trying to get the word out more about the senior activities, the need for senior support, senior issues, the aging, the demographics, and the rest of it. It's a big education thing when you have a pretty big turnover in the public officials.
Oh, yes.
Methadone thing, did they
That's
pay him a lot of money just to not have it?
The town has come up with $350,000. That's their share. We haven't heard what the insurance, or at least I haven't heard what the insurance company for the town has to pay CMG based out of Atlanta, I
And
believe,
why did they
Florida.
have to do that?
Why did they have to do that?
Is it because of the building and they said they couldn't and they decided not to?
Without going into a whole lot of detail,
Oh, I just-
the planning department probably spoke too openly and committed without first talking and informing the trustees, the mayor, the town manager. So that went on back in the November timeframe. Here's this company that's going ahead proceeding. All of a sudden, now the town officials and the town residents saying, what the hell did you do? How could you approve a methadone clinic across from the park and within a block or so of a school? You know, so a whole bunch of different issues. But it's been resolved, and it's pretty much due. I guess the other takeaway would be that it's really the community itself, residents both of Monument, Woodmore, the whole entire area came together. Multiple meetings, 200 people at this meeting, 300 at that one, money in the jar, raised $60,000, paid 2 different attorneys to take this on and to make sure that this was stopped. Because the current mayor said, hey, we've got to press this way. This is what the rules say. This is what we did. Sorry about that population. Sorry about that, citizens. This is what we have to do.
Good.
So that's probably another reason why he decided to leave.
Probably.
Probably.
Anyway.
Well, I will just make mention, coming up I know June doesn't, it sounds like a long ways away, but April, May, June. It's the first weekend of June is the Senior Resource Council's Boomer and Beyond Expo. So if you've not attended before, please put that on your calendar. If you're a vendor or someone who's involved in services, I would definitely encourage you to get more involved and to get yourself a booth to be a part of that. It's actually going to be at the Marriott Hotel this year, so very different venue from where we've had it before.
Oh, yeah.
But it's actually in connection with the Gazette this year. We're actually going to get some publicity, what do you know?
Terrific.
And so they do expect that there's going to be a lot more attendance because of all that additional advertising. So I would suggest going ahead and getting involved if you can now. It is the first part of June, so it's really just, it's really 2 months away. So,
Saturday, June 4.
Thank you. So if you're at all interested in going or being a part of it, I would suggest doing that. And for those who are potential vendors, just as a previously 5-year chairman of that event, it is really truly the fundraiser for that organization. So the monies that are generated from the vendor booths and things like that really do go to help support the organization as a whole. So it's not just it's not just an opportunity for you to get out there and interact with seniors. It's also an opportunity for you to support the organization as a whole. So I would encourage you to do that soon, because I do believe there's been more interest because of the added advertising that they're going to have. So
Correct.
please do. And then I've got my party coming up, but it's on April 14th, but we're pretty tight on seats, so so if you haven't got an invitation, you're probably too late. But it's a fundraiser, so if you want to write me a check, I'd be happy to take the check. So lots of, actually, in the spring, there's a lot of stuff that's going on as we kind of head into summertime. So if there's anything else I can think of, I'll bring it next month.
I had two real quick things that kind of relate to what I talked about before. If anybody wants copies of the draft of that Older Americans Act on the federal level, I've got a copy or two if you're a numbers person or you can't sleep. Next year, I have already put our name in as a possible site to stream Senior Day at the Capitol. We experimented with streaming this year, so they're going to pick some sites for next year to stream that event, and I asked that we be one of those sites on that list.
All right.
Excellent.
Thank you. Is there no other announcements or information? If not, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Been moved, seconded, and unanimously acclaimed. Thank you all. Our next meeting is Thursday, April 28th. This room.
Right here.
How many cases?
I bet you guys. What are you playing with?
Carrie, I'll take a few.
Well, by the time they get to you, they might not take
one box.
a lot of the other
A case and a
services
half
that are
out
in
in the
there,
car.
but
Well, you guys
I would
don't-
still take her at least one case, at least.
Yeah, see, the places we distribute a ton of are where they've got big customers coming through.
Exactly.
You guys,
Hey, you.
places that see Peak Vista, places like that, that see consistent, different customers every day. Yeah, and you ought to probably.
Sitting too long.
You got it. We've got a whole bunch of them stacked up in the lobby. So if you only want a box or two, you can easily carry them to your car. If you want more, hand truck, we can load up with. Okay. You're welcome.
I think that would be the one I have, because I had a big box, but no, but then I'll get them later. I mean, we're going to turn out on April 15th, so that's true. Oh, that's true. So I'm excited about that. I am too.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing great.
Betcha.
How much is in a box?
30.
Getting around. Oh, yeah. It's just kind of like, I'll be out.
Joe, are you going to autograph this
I am.
personally for me?
I am.
It's been a long day, but, what happens when you're closing?
Well, that's okay. I broke my
I'm excited. That's so
I'm done.
It's huge. It's just not keeping me down. That's off of that mom's plate.
Yeah, and I hope it's a little bit community friendly.
I'm going to grab this one, too.
Format hadn't been changed, I don't think, since day one.
I'm going to look.
Yeah, I did flip through the back because I saw some of the explanations of like some of
And
the.
how do you want me to say?
I did like that. That was good. The Margaret Guild. This is
A-R-G.
No, we added that.
I like this. Yeah.
I stole, well, it wasn't stolen, I
Sorry.
asked permission of the creator.
Sorry about that. Slip it in that little
Pieces out of
T, that little E in there.
Remember the sections that used to be in the housing, the SRC housing directory? That's all that is.
Okay, that's.
It's paraphrased version.
Yeah, but I like that.
Very, very,
That's
very
nice.
long. I don't know if
No, that was very.
it is $15 unless you would, like, I can't afford to give them all out.
And this is new,
Is
too.
that a cost that's
Yeah.
unaffordable?
It's the same
to you?
thing,
Sure.
yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, it's a little bit easier tool, I hope, to use.
I apologize
Well,
for
then they'll be
having
able to look
to.
and they'll go, well, I don't need this or this, but I do need this. Actually, I just have a friend of mine who, Joe and I know through church.
When I
And
take
she
my
called me
case
her mother, actually, no, it was her aunt, who never married, never had children, which in Utah is a miracle. Like, how'd that happen? And, anyway, she was doing pretty good, and then she moved and she had a fall and went into assisted living. 3 weeks later, she's fallen again. She's on 100 milligrams of trazodone, which she's like, what? That's a lot. Well, no wonder she's falling. She's only been there 3 weeks, and she already has some bed sores. I'm like, are they assisting her or not?
Where is it?
Yeah, anyway, it's a place down a little farther south in Utah, and I said, okay, first of all, if they're not able to handle her level of care, they should have said something and said, hey, we need her to be at a level higher level. I'm sure they have tiered levels, and we went through all that. Like, well, it sounds to me like you're probably paying for the highest level, and they don't want to say something because they don't want to listen. But that doesn't make sense, and that's not okay. So we had a long conversation about that, what, the steps to take on that. So, it's just, interesting. Sure. Okay, I need to grab that, and I grab that. I was thinking about your question. Is being the person who would ultimately be a part of the decision? There's a lot of work to do. So I think what I would do is have you and Monica say, I don't know who else would be, or how this impacts other team members who are doing it, but I'd like to think that I could be less less staff. I don't know if I would have to take care of it. I can give you reasons. Yeah, and so let's take a look at this. Especially with the Rams situation, that I know that he's trying to take care of. Well, I don't. Did you tell her about it? Yeah, well, so it will. And just say, she was unhappy, but I think even if we can still do some of it, it would be nice to have you on the back burner that maybe you're just like, this is kind of beyond what we're going to do. Let's take this on. It may not be something that we need to do every situation, but it would be great to have somebody. This looks a little tricky. Let's let somebody with a little more experience with it. Exactly. And that I don't know where we're at. I know that we used to get it was like a pretty got it.
I wanted to call because I think.
Yeah, exactly. But again, I don't know how limiting that is based on the design of the person's process, because I know that was what you were trying to do.
Okay, so I will talk with you later, Joe, and if I don't hear from
Appropriate for
her.
Exactly. And that's something we may not be able to do as well at, so I think that would be good. Oh, that's true. Oh, that's a good idea. That's something I would definitely suggest to her then, is actually, I can come in and maybe design it if you guys want to do it, but, you can just do more of a fee for service thing, and I'll just do the fee part for. Oh, yeah. No, I like that. So basically, I can do it all. I can be partial. I can do advisement, and then I can just
I'm calling to.
outside. You're going to do it. I'll just do the whole thing. Yeah, so that's awesome. Yeah, that's a great idea.
CMSA show, is that still?
Yeah,
That's so
April, no.
Do you find that a lot of the nurses stay in town, or do you think they leave?
Pardon? We have
A lot of the nurses, a lot of the grads?
Which is different than
There are a lot here in town.
And I didn't bring that up here.
Margaret, I don't know,
Yeah, that's coming up too.
I don't know how many of them we have
Okay, yeah.
addresses for. It's different with the university running the show.
Yeah.
We don't have any sense of, much sense of communication now, except through their fundraising letters.
That's true. I hadn't thought about that.
And I would love to be able to collect, to get that communication thing started
Okay, so that's
again.
the plan for the conversation tomorrow.
And
I'll
I'm
make
not
it out
quite
to you.
sure- I'm not quite, just Joe.
Here are options. And then we can pick and choose whichever one fits. So I think that'll be great. That'll be good for you and good for us. Want to walk out with me? I gotta get going. Oh, I should have grabbed it.
Oh, she got it out with the tow truck. I'm not. Oh, yeah. That innovation that really nice things. I had this one too, actually. So we're gonna see what can happen. I would love. That's why I didn't recommend you to get together again, and it's besides fundraising.
Yeah, I did. I said, no, I said, I don't think,
And it's necessary, but it doesn't do anything for us to get.
I know, because I can't, I don't know.
But you know, something that came up in the transportation one the other day, and I thought,
Well, Lisa Foster, Lisa DeMaris Foster, she's one state. She was a graduate in the early 80s when she went on.
she went through the same assessment process, which campus have, and the silver key. So all the questions had to be asked.
You know, probably should have just stayed better in touch with her.
Well, it's hard, you know, don't get any.
Well, that's,
And so,
that's something that the
I mean, any real newsletters.
well, I think it's something we need to.
And I don't know if we were to find a group, you would.
no, but why wouldn't the joint, will the joint do that? Is that, I don't know around that.
So you survived your first meeting.
I did. It was great. Thank you, guys. I look forward to next month. I do. It is. It's very interesting. I do. That's what I wanted to become one.
You know Mike Bartol up there?
Yeah.
He's veterans, clear adoption, veterans
Because it's done. All the professional papers. And so it doesn't matter, you can do addition, it just has to be a correction. Here, fix this. And they do.
That's neat.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah, not so expensive, oh.
No. And by the way, I'm sorry, after I said I'm the only nurse, because I'm usually.
Yeah, and I think you should be too.
And I thought, oh my gosh, Margaret is sitting at the end of the table. I would have deferred.
And the 2 week thing.
You don't,
To have you here is such a prize.
I don't know all the organizations.
Say, hey now.
You do that, don't even let me get away with it. Because people need to know that we are out here now. You know, we are, there's lots more of us.
Yeah.
In the community.
Yeah.
Now, you know, you used to be the only home nurses you had were visiting nurses. Now look what we have. It's called aging.
Yes.
I mean, that's what we're about.
Yes.
So, thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you. I'll see you in a month.
Ah, yes. And hopefully, I get this stuff, everything, you know, pushed into corners and put away where it's supposed to be. And then I'm gonna be free for playing again. That means I can come visit and do things.
Oh, good.
That's what that means.
Good.
That's what my play is.
Yeah.
So thank you, my dear.
All righty.
You guys, still be okay.
And that would be fine, just, just so.
So you don't have to ask them.
Yeah, I mean, because I would, she said, my parents were annoyed. I said, I would be annoyed. But
Will, could you look at that? And Joe, I want one of your books too.
Oh,
You
do
got
you?
one left.
Oh, I do, yes, I do.
Maybe to the person. Possibly, we'll have to, but it's something.
And we have to put that on.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah, she's not the first person.
No.
There's constant battle. I see that as a battle on the horizon. It's not on the horizon anymore. The privacy versus service component. How much privacy are you going to
Here,
give
I
up?
brought you things. You did? I have a, you're coming in tomorrow? Yeah, if I can get here.
Yeah, and I have another problem. I have a contract at my house tomorrow morning at 8:30, and then
I don't think it's a problem to get here. I think my daughter can come get me. And as a matter of fact, she's.
Oh, absolutely.
She,
I mean,
I can drive you home if she can get you down here. So that's something to consider.
I will, I appreciate that, Carrie. That's really nice. I'm gonna call her now when I get done here.
Okay,
See if she can take me home.
okay. Sounds good.
But when you can't get where you're supposed to do it, there's a cost to that.
I've been annoyed that every time I go to the medical office, I hate why though? Because my mind is such a pain. It takes so much time.
And you know, when you talk about documents, I actually said this a lot.
Qualified and should receive.
More than
That's wonderful.
business process. Because everybody has business process.
Just a little bit above it.
What I said.
Yeah. Well, you got to cut the case.